What's up, guys? We're back. So I want to do a quick video today to show you one of my avocado trees and something that's been a little crazy to me, and it's this tree right here. So this is a Wertz avocado. Okay, back to the video. Sorry, I got planes flying around. So the Wertz avocado, also known as the little cado, is a tree that I got in my yard. I planted this a while back. It's given me fruit. Unfortunately, it hasn't been very productive. So what I've decided to do is just kind of add on a couple of different varieties on here. So I have a Black Beauty grafted on here. I also have this right here, which is a sucker that I allowed to grow, and then as you guys know, I girdled this sucker and I got it to fruit. So right now it's holding on some fruit. So essentially and then also I have Bonny Doon on here. So essentially 4 different varieties onto one tree. But I really wanted to show you guys this Bonny Doon because this Bonny Doon that I grafted, let me zoom in here so you can actually see. So I did the graft around April of last year. We're in July of 2026. So April of 2025 was when I did this graft. It was right here. You can see that little V. That's kind of where I did the cleft graft. So from here out is Bonny Doon. So it had 3 growth like coming out where there's 3 of them. You can see there's 1, 2, and 3. So out of the 3 that grew out, it grew really fast. You can see this is like, I don't know how many feet that is, but it's like it grew really fast. So this spring it flowered. So that's super quick for this thing to kind of flower. And then I started like noticing fruit, and let me tell you the amount of fruit that's on here, it's actually crazy. Because I decided to count like how many, and I just wanted to see, I'm like, how many fruit was on here. So what I did was something that I try to do to kind of make sure I get them all. I just go down the stem, and then I found a branch. So here's one branch, and I go to the bottom, there's fruit. You can see that? So that's one. Then I go to the next branch, which is right here. I go, and then there's 2. So I just kind of went and found every branch, and essentially every branch that's on here, I can just grab a branch. 2 fruit there. Grab the next branch. 1 fruit there. I mean, here's another branch. This one's got 3. So this branch alone had 40 fruit on here. And then I went on this side and I counted. I did the same thing. I just found each and every branch, and each branch has 1 or 2 fruit. So this one had 30, and then I counted the smaller branch here, and that one had like 12 or 15. So 40, 30, that's 70, plus 12, 80. Just that right there is 82 avocados. 82 Bonny Doon avocados that currently looks like that. So it's crazy to me because I if I can just imagine if this tree was if this whole thing was Bonny Doon, that every branch on here would probably have fruit. So here's a branch. This one has 3 on here. So it's just crazy. I don't know if you guys have Bonny Doon and if you're growing Bonny Doon, and if you are, comment down below because I want to hear your guys' experience also, if it's something that you're noticing is the same thing, because this is crazy. Now something else to note, this thing lost half of its fruit. Like if you look on the ground, there's lots of fruit kind of like that fell, but it had double the amount of fruit probably on these 3 branches. And then I actually cut a bunch of branches off and gave it away to people to graft because they were like interested in Bonny Doon. So I just kind of cut a couple pieces and I gave it to them. And you know what they say, it's like every piece that you cut is a piece that potentially could have fruited. So it's no big deal. I mean, considering I got like 80 on there. So I'm really curious to see your guys' comments down below, if it's something that's, you know, if you guys are noticing the exact same thing on your Bonny Doon or not. So Bonny Doon is a variety that, from what I'm hearing, was found at the Bonny Doon tasting room. I guess it was just outside the tasting room, and it was, you know, a tree that nobody really took care of, and it actually was pretty tough and handled like some really cold temperatures. So, you know, we're in Southern California. We don't have, at least for me, the really cold temperatures like some folks up in Northern California. But considering that we're in Southern California and we do have warmer temperatures, sometimes certain varieties do not do well out here. For example, I have problems with like Florida varieties, but this has been doing just fine, and it's good to see that it's actually doing well here in Southern California. So I'm kind of curious to see what it's going to taste like. But one of the things that people have been saying is that, you know, where this was found, it's been able to handle a lot of the cold temperatures. The fruit is on the smaller side and the seed is on the bigger side, but the fruit tastes pretty good. It rated kind of high, so I'm curious to see what it's going to taste like for me. So hopefully I can get some fruit to hang on all the way to harvest. And I'm also hearing that harvest time is the same time as bacon. So my bacon, I typically harvest my bacon in maybe like December. So I'm gonna kind of monitor this to see if I can actually start picking them also in December. But I mean, that's just, to me, it's like super productive. It kind of almost reminds me of a Gwen, how productive Gwens are, and it will almost like fruit itself to death. But this tree, the actual branch itself looks pretty healthy for the most part. I probably should prop it up because it's going to get heavy, but it's pretty tough for the most part. And you can see all of these branches, how they're like leaning over. That's because of all the fruit that they're holding, you know. So anyways, I just wanted to share that because this is like, to me, one of those things where people are like, you know, when you get something going that's brand new, you don't know what to expect. And definitely for me, this thing is a nice surprise so far. Of course, I also have, you know, on here my my seedling, which I girdled last year. I got fruit, and I didn't girdle it again this year, and I got fruit again this year. So let me show you some of the fruit that's on there right now. See if I can zoom in. But you can see there's fruit right there. There's kind of fruit all over. So this thing is, for the size of the tree, pretty productive. Now the little avocado that's on there, I haven't gotten that many fruit. I kind of dug around a little bit just to see how much fruit is in there. There's probably maybe a dozen little avocado, but majority of the fruit is my seedling, and a good chunk also is this Bonny Doon. And I also grafted Black Beauty on there, but the Black Beauty is growing, but it's just hasn't set any fruit yet, and it is growing not as fast as the Bonny Doon. I guess that combination or whatever the characteristics, it just really liked where it's at also. So who knows exactly why that's taking off. But I guess if this thing tastes good and I do like it, you know, I don't mind smaller fruit. I think it's kind of nice to have a smaller fruit anyways. I may want to add this variety onto something else because it's so productive, you know. But, you know, time will tell. The good thing is we already have one. It's established. And it's good to know that I have it kind of like being very, very productive here in Southern California. So in any case, hopefully you guys are doing good. It's been hot. We're supposed to get 100 degrees the next couple of days here. So I'm probably in the middle of the daytime when, you know, temperatures creep up past 95 and 100 degrees. I'll probably come out with the hose and start spraying some of these trees down to kind of keep them cool. But so far this year, considering that the temps have started reaching up kind of higher, I haven't had too much leaf burn up top. And that's because I've been watering all of my trees a lot more consistent, just, you know, multiple times in the day, 3 or 4 times, like today probably. That's my plan, just to kind of keep it hydrated. So, and it's been working. It's been, you know, I haven't been spraying Surround or anything like that. And just the extra water has been helping. So anyways, we'll talk later. See you guys. Late.